This session is on Oracle Tuxedo System and Application Monitor Plus, also called TSAM Plus. In this session, be a brief introduction to TSAM Plus, then a demonstration of the Tuxedo Management Pack, which is included as part of TSAM Plus for Oracle Enterprise Manager Cloud Control, and then finally a slide on how to get connected with the Oracle Tuxedo Community. TSAM Plus is a follow-on product to the original TSAM product. It now provides not only monitoring capabilities, but now provides management of Tuxedo applications. In addition to the standalone monitoring console that we call TSAM Manager that was provided with the original TSAM product, there's now a Tuxedo Management Pack that is available for Oracle Enterprise Manager. This management pack is what allows Enterprise Manager to be able to monitor, manage, and administer Tuxedo applications. There's also extensive metrics that are collected by Enterprise Manager through the TSAM agent that runs on the Tuxedo monitored systems. Using these metrics, it's possible to define service level agreements, or SLAs, that can be used to do such things as automated operations, such as scale up or scale down if the load on a system goes up or the load on a system goes down, or if certain metrics are not being met. For the demo, what we're going to cover is a simple Tuxedo application. It's actually a rehosted mainframe application using Tuxedo Application Runtime. And this will allow us to see how Tuxedo is being used and how TSAM can monitor and manage that application. So we'll look at the various monitoring targets that are available. We'll look at the application topology, so how the various targets relate to one another. We'll then take a look at some of the metrics that are collected. Finally, what we'll do is we'll modify an existing application as it's running. And then to see how the scale-up works, we will define an incident rule, which is essentially a service level agreement, and a policy when that agreement's not met as to how Oracle Enterprise Manager will respond and scale up the application to be able to provide better service to the user. And so then we'll see that dynamic scale-up occur. So what we see here is the Enterprise Manager Cloud Control, and what we have is a list of Tuxedo domains that are available as targets in Oracle Enterprise Manager. So we're going to look at one of these, which is an application runtime demo. And what we see here on the left then is a set of the targets that are available within this. So we see some CICS regions, some transactions that are defined as part of Tuxedo rehosted application. And then we can see below that things like Tuxedo machines, the groups of servers that are available, transaction management servers, other pieces like that. We can also look at the application topology. The topology shows the relationship between the various components that are monitored or targets that are monitored by the Oracle Enterprise Manager. So we see here overall the domain, which is called RASP, and then what we see are some machines that make up that application, one of them called Art Demo and one called Art Demo VM. And we can see some of the transactions that are available as part of this application. We can scroll the picture around and take a look at other servers that are available and the groups of servers that are available. We can zoom in, take a closer look at the various servers and the services that they offer. The lines show the relationships between the various targets. So if we look at a particular transaction server here, what we're going to see is a summary of the server with some basic statistics, such as the execution rate in terms of how long it takes to execute a service, and then what the rate of execution is, how many requests per minute. We can drill down and get additional metrics. So if we pull down to the monitoring tab and pull all metrics, we'll see a complete list of the metrics that are available for this particular target. So we get information such as IPC queue information, response time, execution times, availability information. We'll look in a particular one here, which is the IPC queue information. So we'll see what the queue depth is for this particular server. So what we're seeing is that the average is about 12.5. It's as high as 69. We can see a graph of that information if we scroll down and look at the graph on the lower right-hand side. We can also see such information as whether there's been any alerts associated with this particular service. We can also look at the services that are available by this server, and we can just look at things such as what the execution time or the CPU utilization is for each of the services that were executed by this server. So we see here that in this case we're looking at the rate of services, and we can get a graph of how many times this service has been executed over a given period of time. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go and take a look at the server's configuration in the UBB config file, or the Tuxedo configuration, and we're going to modify the number of times the server is allowed to be restarted should it fail. In the case here, then we're just going to click on the Modify UBB. This change will then be pushed out to the Tuxedo application dynamically while it's running. So should this server now fail, we'll give it 2 chances to be restarted before declaring that the server needs to be looked at for potential maintenance operations. So in this case, we're looking at the overall resources section, the overall configuration for the Tuxedo domain. We see that there's a couple of packages that can be deployed to this application. So one that would go potentially on the master node, one that would go on one of the other nodes in the domain. And so what we see here is that we have a couple of different ART servers that are available that can be added. And this can be done as part of the application packaging and deployment. So you can define a set of servers and a set of groups of servers that should be deployed either to an existing machine or potentially to a new machine that would be added. So now what we've done is we've increased the load here a bit now. So we have a load of about 500 requests per minute. And what we're going to do is we're going to set up a policy essentially for what's statistics that we want to look at. In this case here is the queue depth. And what we've done is when the queue depth exceeds 10, we're going to define that as a critical alert that should happen. So once that's done, basically that defines an incident that will occur when the queue depth for that server exceeds 10. So right now there's not much load on the system, so the queue depth is 0. What we're going to do though is set up a rule so that when this incident occurs, so when the queue depth exceeds 10, what we'll do is execute basically a policy that will say that we should have that we should call the Tuxedo event connector, which will execute then a script that will, or an action to try to address this critical issue here. So once we reach that critical severity, we'll call the Tuxedo event connector. Then what we're going to do is we'll take a look at that Tuxedo event connector and we'll see how that's defined and what the policy is to be taking place once we exceed that threshold. So in this case here, we've got a policy named RASP, and it's going to be what we call a package level deployment policy. So if we look at this, what it means is that when this policy gets triggered as a result of some incident, what it's going to do is going to deploy a package, and that package can be potentially deployed to any of group the 2 or group 3 on the ART demo VM, which is a second machine that's in this application, and it's available to have additional resources deployed to it. So now if we look at the configuration as it's running right now, what we see is we have the 4 transactions that are available. Those are running right now. We see that we've got a rate of about 500 requests per minute being executed for SB00. What we're going to do is look to see what the transactions are that are servers that are able to handle that. And what we see over on ART demo VM, there are no transaction servers available. There's only the administrative server available. So the transaction servers currently aren't deployed and running on the ART demo VM, only on the ART demo machine. What we're going to do is we're going to increase the rate of requests, or the load on the system, and what we're going to see is that the queue length for the server is now exceeding the value that we set up before, a threshold of 10, and it's now 36. So while this is happening, what's going to happen is that OEM is going to trigger that incident. That incident is going to cause that management policy to be invoked. And what we're going to see is that we now will have additional servers now deployed to the ART demo VM. So now we see the ART DPL and ART TSTR and servers now deployed on this additional machine. And what we're going to see then as well is that now the load now has gone up because now we can handle more requests because we have more servers available, and as well then the transaction time or execution time has dropped back to where it should have been. So this is an example of scale out, automatic scale out of a Tuxedo application based upon the load on the application increasing to a level that cannot be handled with the existing resources. So with that, I'd like to invite you to join the rest of the Tuxedo community online. There are several different spots where you can find out information about Tuxedo and join in. There's a blog that's maintained at blogs.oracle.com. We're also available on LinkedIn, and information about the product is available at oracle.com/tuxedo. And finally, the Oracle Technology Network is available for more additional technical information about the product. With that, I thank you for watching this video, and I hope you found it informational.